This guy, he lives in Chicago. He started at the funny stuff, and he's back for his album. Make some noise for
Hey, thank you guys. Oh my God, thank you guys so much for coming out. What a great night. I'm excited to be here. We boozing, we getting into it tonight? Yeah. Not driving. Yeah, I had to take the night off today. I did this. Maybe you guys have done this. Have you ever woken up with a hangover that's so bad you start to understand prohibition? That ever happened to you guys? You ever wake up the next morning, your first thought is like, they need to ban this from everybody. So I never feel this way ever again. And that used to happen a lot more often to me because I have one of these addictive personalities. What? Which is something I used to write on every job application I turn in. Because they know if they hire me, I'm never going to quit. And that's a little fun joke that gets passed down from generation to generation in my family. Now, I know I've made bad excuses to keep drinking when I know I should be cutting myself off. Probably the worst one was I was at a friend's Christmas. And if you don't know what that is, that's just where one woman in her 30s will cook for a bunch of people. Because she'll never have a family of her own. All right, calm down. If you got mad at me, you're wrong, okay? Because somebody here thought of a specific person as soon as I said that joke. A few people here, their first thought was like, oh shit, Molly is kind of sad. We should have invited her tonight. Her cat's in Netflix queue, could use a break. But I was at this party, I knew I should be cutting myself off. It was that fight between the rational part of my brain kind of fighting with the addictive, right? And my friends were in the kitchen. They're like, get in here. We're doing shots of gin. I know. The rational part of my brain was like, we shouldn't do that. Gin never sits right with our tummy. But then I turned and saw that my friends were handing me the shot in a Ninja Turtles cup. And the addictive part of my brain was so quick to be like, well, we can't say no to Donatello. Guys, I know the difference between what's right and what's wrong. But if someone gave me a SpongeBob SquarePants crack pipe, I don't know what I would say. I might just grab it and just be like, I'm ready. I don't know. Sure, by now you can probably guess. Looking at me, I'm a useless millennial. I'm exactly the stereotype they talk about. Yeah, I don't know how to do or fix things like men in their 30s are supposed to. I just know life hacks I use every time I have a problem. So my car wouldn't start recently. So I just did the first thing I know to do when something's not working. I just got out of my vehicle and started counting to 10. I was like, let me give my car a little timeout, you know? I did just put gas in it. I don't like doing things after I get full either. Got back in it, tried to start it, nothing happened. So I did the next trick I know to do when something's not working. I just took the key out and started blowing into the ignition like an NES. I was like, come on, get me to the next level. You have my game saved in there, you know? And it was also in this moment where I was frustrated because I didn't know what to do. But then I thought of every story my parents told about car problems, and they didn't know how to fix it either. There was just someone around that happened to fix it for them. I don't know if I want to go out in the world and do that, stranger danger. But at some point I was like, all right, I got to find someone. So I got out of my car and I was like, all right, right now I am looking for someone in their 40s. So they can help me find someone in their 60s to fix things. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm just looking for a guy who's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. But it's more ash than actual cigarettes. He's also carrying a 6-pack of beers, but he only has 2 cans left, so he's ready to work. Couldn't find that person, so I did have to call AAA, which I don't know if you guys are like me, but did anyone else growing up think that AAA was just the graduation program of AA? Is that just me? Right? Like, it makes sense. You would get through all the steps in the program, and then they just give you a tow truck to bring other drunks into it as well. That's just alcoholic recycling. That's all that is. But the tow truck driver got there. He had great news. He's like, yeah, your car's not starting because your battery is dead. And I was like, that's amazing. I didn't even know I had an electric vehicle. Like, this is very informative. He's like, you don't. You have a 2004 Dodge Neon. I was like, I still don't know what that means. What do we do? Use my iPhone charger to wake it up? Please don't tell me my car's an Android. That'd be the worst news you could give me. No one wants to text my car. I drive a lot. I don't text and drive. Don't do it. Because I'm usually too distracted looking at TikToks to respond to messages. And I know that feeling, that like fear everyone gets when you like are a passenger watching the person driving text while they're driving. There's this moment where both of you realize like no one's in control. I was in an Uber recently and the Uber driver started texting while he was driving. I know, my first thought was like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. You're at your job. If you got time to lean, you got time to look at the road. I'm bad at rhyming, okay? I wanted to say something to him, but he was also talking on the phone while he was texting and driving. So the only way I knew to get his attention was I just sent him a message in the Uber app. I was like, hey, do you think you could look at the road? And have you ever watched someone ignore your text message in front of you? Because I know an Uber driver with 1 star that did. And I'm not usually too like confrontational. I do love arguing on the internet. That's a pretty millennial thing, I know. Like, I live in an older generation will point out to me, they're like, you're only hiding behind your keyboard, and that's why you're confident saying this to me. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Thank you. I only argue on one website. It's the worst website on the internet. I cannot believe that we've allowed it in its format to infect society the way it has. And that's recipe websites. These are the worst websites on the internet. Right? No other website gives you 6 paragraphs of backstory before you get to why you came to the website in the first place. Right? It's like, and I'll read every time because sometimes it's helpful. Like, sometimes it'll say like how dente the pasta should be. I don't know what that means either. I was looking up chicken crockpot tacos, and this woman wrote about how she cooked it for her son's water polo team. They got second place in regionals because David wasn't feeling that great. And he's the offensive anchor for the team, and sometimes they carpool together. And I know that and how much paprika goes in my crock pot. Like, I'm just happy that we haven't accepted other information websites front-loading things like that, right? Like, you'd be so mad if you showed up to a website looking something up and it was like, man, I hate my neighbors. They need to clean up their prunes, clean up their hedges. It's driving the property value down. Anyway, here's all the symptoms for chlamydia. Like, I don't think that's a good way of putting it, right? It's cool. I do this full time now, which is great. I used to work at a Chicago public school for almost 10 years. Yeah, it's tough working at a school because everyone thinks they know what it's like to be a teacher because they were a student at one point in their life. So people will come up to me and be like, oh my God, that's amazing. You work with kids? And I'm like, nah. I work against them. We're not coming up with spreadsheets together, you know? And like, I would learn things working in a school I didn't realize. Like, I'll teach you guys something. While in heat, lions will have sex 15 times in one day. Yeah. It's also known as the worst day to go on a field trip with kindergartners. I was like, let's see what the cheetahs are up to. They made Cheetos, so I'm a fan. There's other things I had to learn because I'm not a parent, so there was things that being a comedian was tough working at a school. Like, one thing I had to find out was every time you say something to like a younger kid, it becomes part of their knowledge base. They are terrible about picking up on sarcasm. So for a whole year, I was accidentally teaching 5-year-olds conspiracy theories. Like fun ones, not ones your uncles post on recipe websites, okay? But like one time a kid came up to me, he's like, hey, why aren't we going outside today? I was like, well, it's raining. He's like, well, why is it raining? And I was like, well, because the government controls the weather. Go color. Stay inside the lines. They're watching, you know? I was obviously very hungover that day, right? But I forgot I had said that almost immediately. And I was really like caught off guard. And like a month later, a different kid came up to me and was like, hey, why aren't we going outside? And as soon as I was about to answer, that kid from a month earlier just screams from across the room, just so confidently. He was just like, there's nothing you can do. The government controls the weather. I was like, I'm definitely going to get a phone call because of this. And I'm pretty sure this is how white kids end up with dread. So that's on me, everybody. My bad, society. But it's tough working with younger kids because it's hard to find that line between like wanting to like help them with their creativity, but also be realistic. Like we had this thing at my school. It was called Career Day. I don't know if you know what Career Day is. It's when you still had hopes and dreams about becoming something. I felt bad because my favorite kid, I was so conflicted because they give them all the kids shirts that would say future, and then underneath it they could write whatever they wanted to be. And my favorite kid, on her shirt, she wrote future actor. I was like, oh my God. You spelled barista wrong. That's adorable. But then there would be other types kids would say things to me that like I feel like I wouldn't have answers for even as an adult. Like I remember things teachers said about life that I remember, and now there's like times that kids have said things to me that I will never be able to forget. Like one time a kid came up to me crying more than I've ever seen a human being cry. It was like a sorority rush week level of tears. And I'll never forget. She just comes up to me and she goes, Mr. Tyler, no one's making me happy right now. I'm like, I don't know how to tell her, like, yeah, that's how it's always gonna be. I don't know, download Candy Crush or join a fantasy football league. That's all I figured out so far. I'm trying to find ways to make myself happy. I bought a motorcycle recently because I love being little spooned. Right? And having a motorcycle is just the coolest way to be little spooned, right? You're just like... So now every time I see one of these like leather jackets, Sons of Anarchy, Harley Davidson from head to toe guys, my first thought is just like, aww. This guy's just overcompensating for wanting to be held, right? Like in my head, their inner monologue's like, yeah, my name's Earl, and I like two things in this world. I like the cold, feel the wind on my face when I'm out there on my hog. And titties from behind, hold me tightly. And that's a quick impression of every stepdad you've ever met. She knows, okay. No, I am a millennial, so I have step-parents. I have way too many step-family members because both my parents got remarried. Like, I got a step-aunt, I got a step-grandma, I got a step-dog in the process. I even met my stepdad's stepdad, which is a level of stepception I didn't know existed yet in the modern era. And it's weird because like they both did different things. Like my dad, when he first got divorced, he got the first woman pregnant that he started dating. It's like, Ron, you're a Catholic man. You're supposed to be saving yourself for your second marriage. That's what Jesus said. My mom got remarried and got real into guns. So neither of them shoot blanks. And the weirdest thing about the new family members was I was 21 when I got new siblings. And at 21, you shouldn't be getting new siblings. You should be accidentally having children of your own, like an adult. And despite that, every time I come home, he'll still hit me with this. He's like, you know, you need to start thinking about having children because who's going to take care of you when you get older? And I was like, wow, Dad. Do you think we have that agreement? Because I've overdrafted my account 3 times this month. I don't know who I'm taking care of. As soon as you die, I'm not gonna have a cell phone. I'm gonna have to get an Android. That's how bad things are gonna be for me. It is weird now that he has so many kids. If he gets asked about them, sometimes he'll list us in order of how I think he respects us right now. Like I watched it the other day. Someone was like, how are the kids? He's like, kids are great. My son Adam just got transferred into the intelligence community. He's currently stationed in England. My daughter Victoria just celebrated 18 months of sobriety in Florida. My 6th grader just made the 6th grade baseball team. My 5th grader just got an A on her math test. And Tyler's recording a stand-up comedy album. And let me say, it's the first stand-up comedy album in my family, so who's really winning, right? Yeah. Thank you. I did mention in there that my brother's in the military. If you serve, thank you so much for your service. Oh yeah. I was very nervous for my brother because he's my younger sibling. So when he was getting like sent around the world, I was always really afraid for him. Like he's been sent to very exotic, scary places. He was in like Rota, Spain. He's in Cambridge, England. They sent him to Jacksonville, Florida. You know, very scary places. And when he first got to Spain, I was like, hey, like, what are they having you do at your job? Like, what have you learned? What's going on for you? And he told me that the girls are very aggressive in the bedroom over here. I was like, that's a weird thing to put in the group text with mom and dad, but okay. But what's weird is we're very similar in age, so we kind of look alike. So when there's like secondary family members that see us, sometimes they'll confuse us for one another. And sometimes the compliments they give my brother for being in the military sound kind of similar to me being a stand-up comedian. So like I was at we were having a surprise 80th birthday party for my grandfather. Risky. You guys were way too silent in the middle of that. I hope no one here was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea for Pap. Let's write that one down. Could have easily turned into a surprise funeral planning for my grandfather, you know? But while I was there, like one of these like secondary uncles I like kind of know came up to me and he didn't address me by name, but he just started coming at me and being like, oh my God, it's so great to see you. I just think what you're doing is so brave. I was like, I'm doing stand-up comedy in Cuyahoga Falls. I'm pretty brave. He's like, I'm just so proud of what you're doing for this country. And I was like, free speech, baby? Hell yeah. And he's like, I'm telling everybody about what you're doing. And I was like, I could use more Instagram followers. I appreciate that. But then he said the thing that made me realize he wasn't talking about me. And I just didn't want to give the compliments back that he had given me. So I just rolled with it. He's like, you're so brave. I'm so proud of you. I'm telling everybody. But I got to know, what's it like living overseas? I was like, It's like, well, the girls are very aggressive in the bedroom over there. I'm going to check on Grandpa and see how he's doing, okay? I'm going to tell my dumbest joke now. My dumbest joke is this. I live above a noisy tennis shop. Okay, we're bought in on the premise. I live above a noisy tennis shop. And a friend came over the other day and he's like, hey, what's all that commotion downstairs? And I was like, oh, you mean all the racket? Okay, thank you. No, I'm buttering you up for this next one. Be cool. I did move into a new apartment recently in the city, and it's got this thing where it's got a buzzer, or instead of a buzzer, it has a doorbell, like I'm a Rockefeller or something. But what happened was the person that was living in my unit before me installed it where every time you click our doorbell, it plays the national anthem in our apartment. And like, as you can imagine, it takes me a long time to answer my door when I'm so busy kneeling every time someone rings my doorbell. Like, I want to go get the pizza, but I also want to show solidarity. It's confusing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. If you didn't like that joke, that's fine. You can complain to me after the show because there is nothing more American than complaining. Like, we're so good at it, we should have an Olympic team by now. Or at the very least, we should change "In God We Trust" to "Can I speak to the manager?" I feel like that's accurate, right? Because I don't think complaining is a negative thing, right? Like, I don't think it's bad. It gets results sometimes, right? Like what do we call people that complain too much? We call them
Karen.
Which to me is just short for Karen too much. Like, when I think of our founding fathers, they were kind of Karens in their time, right? They complained their way to getting to this new great place. So now whenever I think about the Constitution, to me, it comes off like the first written Yelp review of England. Right? We didn't know it was Karen-y language for them back then. Like, when I think of the preamble, kind of sounds suspect because it starts with "We seek to form a more perfect union." We want to form a more perfect union, right? It sounds like someone complaining, be like, I don't have an Applebee's, but if I did, I'd have more napkins at the table, okay? And it's weird because everyone talks about how divided we are, and I don't really believe that. I travel the country all year, and we agree on things, but it's not big, important things, right? There's things that we get along with. And I judge really the temperature of where we're at as a country based on t-shirts being sold at gas stations along the interstate. Because that's where I find out like people exist that I didn't know I agree with. Like, I was in Texas recently, and I saw a t-shirt at a gas station that said "Come and take it." But it was written in marijuana leaf font. And I just didn't know that person existed. It's like, pew, 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 right? That's like fun. Trying to figure out what's next. Like, you go to Sheetz and they're selling little edibles in the shape of a bald eagle. Maybe you go to like Cracker Barrel and they have those kitschy signs that say like, "We don't call 911. We just know 420, right? Like, you talk about like equal representation in media. I think that's what's next is like a conservative pothead movie. That's what we need next. Like two plumbers getting high, trying to figure something out. We can call like Dave and Brian go to Chick-fil-A, you know? Or my other title would be Weed the People. I don't know. Pick whichever one you like. When I saw this t-shirt, it made me think of this impression because I was high at the gas station. But so this is my impression of a very conservative pothead asking their other conservative pothead friend to pass a joint that they haven't passed in a really long time. Yo, man. Trickle down that economy. Okay, that's the end of the impression. Thank you. It's for fans of potheads and Ronald Reagan. It's for everybody is included in that joke. It's weird because every state does it so differently, and I never have to look it up because they're always very aggressive with the billboards as soon as you enter the state, whether they're selling it or against it. Like, every time I drive from Chicago to Ohio, I have to go through this place. It's called Indiana. You guys know about this? Yeah, it's a flat strip of land with people trying to get Mountain Dew tattoos. But 30 minutes into the state, there's a billboard that I see every time. It confuses me because when you see it, there's two things I have written on it. The first thing says, "Don't use while driving," which would have been helpful like 30 minutes before that. But then the website for this anti-weed billboard is letsbeblunt.com. And that's like having an anti-gambling billboard that's like I bet you'll quit.com. Or like an anti-masturbation one that's like, you can beat the habit, right? Like, I don't think it makes sense. And every state does this like pun-based anti-drug slogan. I don't know why this is what we landed on. I used to live in Alaska, and in Alaska, their anti-drug slogan is "Don't meth with me." Like, where was the research done that was like, if we can turn a phrase, we'll turn their life around? How cool is that? And it's weird when you see people wearing like hats and shirts for drugs. It's like they're a sports team. Like, I always find these annoying people that try too hard to do drugs because of my birthday. Because my birthday is on April the 20th.
Okay. Yes.
And if you don't know the significance of April the 20th, it's because you own a home. Like, having a 420 birthday is so annoying because every time I have to show someone my ID, they respond as if I'm secretly asking if their soup's chill and want to hang out later. So like I was at the grocery store and the person had to check my ID and they were like, oh my God, 420, nice. Like, what are you talking about? I'm buying Sudafed to make meth. Leave me alone, I just want to hope other people with secondary holiday birthdays have fans like I have fans for my birthday. Like, I want to show up to, like, a gas station and someone's, like, checking out and they get carded for cigarettes and all of a sudden the cashier's like, oh, my God, April 24th, Arbor Day? A tree! Or like my dream would be like to see like a bouncer at like a club, right? And he's like going through IDs and all of a sudden he stops and he's like, oh my God, February 2nd, that's Groundhog's Day. That's dope. Oh my God, February 2nd, that's Groundhog's Day. That's dope. Oh my God, February 2nd, that's Groundhog's Day. That's dope. Oh my God, February 2nd, that's Groundhog's Day. That's dope. Oh my God, February 2nd, that's Groundhog's Day. That's dope. Oh my God. You guys played along enough. I hate when I do this thing where, you know, when you like embarrass yourself in front of a stranger, and even though you'll never see that person again, your face is imprinted in their mind of whatever embarrassing thing they saw you do. Like, we've gotten pretty close as a group. Maybe you guys have done this. Clap if you've ever accidentally asked for a hand job at the bus stop. Anybody else? Just me? I'm weird? Okay. Let me explain. I was running late for work and I was not thinking straight. And I was standing across the street from the bus stop I was waiting for. I was trying to figure out how much time I had left, right? Did I need to Frogger get across the street, or did I have time to wait for the signal to change? But the problem was the person who was standing at the stop on the other end was this lady who had headphones in, and I didn't know that. So she didn't hear anything I said. All she saw was me signaling to her across the street if she knew when the 0 bus was going to be arriving. So all she sees at 8 a.m. is... And then I crossed the street and she did not make eye contact with me. And it took me like too long to think about what had happened. And then I spent the rest of the day just thinking of what she says when she gets to her office later that day. Like, I imagine she gets there and she's like, oh boy, Dorothy Ann. Some gentleman earlier today had morning wood. He apparently couldn't handle himself. And you know how my carpal tunnel's been. I can't help anybody right now. I'm just happy I live in a city with like numbered buses, not lettered buses. Because I feel like it would have been a lot more awkward if I was running late for like the Q bus, for example, right? Like. Thank you. Yeah. That's my Sesame Street letter of the day episode you'll never see. I like pranks. You guys into pranks, you little rascals? Yeah. I prank one place in particular, the company I owe student loan money to. Because I'm never going to pay them back, so we should have fun on the phone. Because I have what's known as an income-based repayment system. And if you don't know how that works, that's just where you have to pay like a certain amount each month based on the number of inches your mattress is off the ground. That's how I calculate it, at least. But here's what I did. On the repayment website, I renamed my user ID to Tyler's Loans Have Been Forgiven. And then I just wait for them to call. Okay, not everyone's figured it out. Let me explain. Because when they call, they're going to be like, all right, Mr. Ross, do you have any money this time? I can be like, hell yeah, I'm recording the first comedy album of my family's history. I clearly have a lot of money coming my way. I'd love to pay you guys back. I just forgot how to log in. And listen, they're gonna be so excited I'm finally gonna make a payment. They're gonna rush through their script. So they're gonna be like, oh my God, Mr. Rush, you're gonna make a payment. Let's get you logged in. Security question 1 to make sure this is you. What is your birthday? And I have to be like 4/20/90, and they'll be like, nice. Question 2, what was the first vehicle you owned? This will get you your ID. And now I have to answer this like 18-year-old Tyler did, so I have to be like, the Bang Bus. And they'll be like, correct, let's get you logged in. Your username in our system is Tyler's loans have been forgiven. And then I say thanks and hang up the phone. Yeah, because that's been recorded for my quality assurance. They try calling back, I'm just like, why don't you go check the tape? Cindy was very chill the other day. And if you guys try doing that, don't use Tyler, use your own name, just a quick aside. I'm a pretty anxious fella. I used to see a therapist, but I broke up with my therapist recently via email because I got very strong in therapy. But my therapist and I, we wouldn't always agree on everything. She told me my biggest problem is my need for affirmation from strangers. And like, I don't know, clap if you think I have a problem needing affirmation from strangers. You guys got the joke, cool. No, I'm anxious in the sense that like every time I have to make a decision, the way I like funnel that through is the same way I would send a text to a crush I just found. Like, you know that anxiety you do? Like you type it out, think about how they're gonna respond, delete the whole thing, type something shorter, delete it, type something longer, think about how they're gonna respond, delete it, then just post a GIF and walk away. Like that's my mental health most days. And one of the things that happens to me is I grind my teeth at night. What? And my dentist told me if I wanted to fix that, I could either have them make me a custom fit mouthguard for $400 or go buy one at the grocery store and make it myself for $20. I was like, sounds like I'm gonna steal one from the grocery store. And I kind of wish I had because I try to go through like the cashiers whenever I can. I don't know if that's the right choice. And like the lady when I was buying it, she kind of made like a weird comment about my purchase, but she like missed the mark. Because as I was buying it, she was like, boop, mouthguard. What sport do you play? I was like, general anxiety? I might go pro, I don't know. It was just weird because she didn't comment on every single purchase I made. She wasn't like, boop, light bulb. What do you got, a good idea? Boop, paper clips, you building a necklace? Boop, a cucumber. Well, I know what this is for, right? She wasn't commenting on everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much I felt like I had to like participate in the conversation because my first thought when she was like, boop, mouthguard, what is this for? I was like, you can't ask me that. That's a violation of my HIPAA. But I was like, if I give one, maybe we'll just keep it moving. So I was like, well, I grind my teeth at night. And instead of moving on, she just got more interested. And the next thing she said was just like, oh my God, why do you do that? I was like, I'm gonna go to the self-checkout. This was a mistake. I see why you guys are dying off. And it sucks because then when I go to other places, I only think of past experiences and it being worse the next time. I'm also, I'm an overthinker. And clap, where's my overthinkers at? Okay. And if you're not clapping, you're probably overthinking if you should be clapping. So you're heard and seen, okay? And the weirdest thing was wearing my mouthguard at night, it becomes a weird game of chicken I play, of whether if I'm gonna put my mouthguard in or if I'm gonna get to have sex with my girlfriend that night. Because if I put it in and I'm wrong and all of a sudden it starts like, that's the sound of having sex with my girlfriend. I have to like time it right, because if not, you just hear this like noise. And you just gotta play it off like, I thought you were into sexy linebackers. You said you didn't want to use protection, but I'm saving myself for my second marriage, so. Try to be cool and spice it up. One of the first things we did when the world was reopening up is we went to a local adult toy store near our house. Mostly because we wanted to support a small business. Yeah, it's like a local business in my community. They're not one of these like big chain sex shop. Well, they sold big chains, but they weren't one of these big chains. And I feel like I'm too immature to go to certain places sometimes. Like I felt immature walking into the store because the first thing you do when you walk in is you use hand sanitizer, and I felt like I looked like I didn't belong walking into it and being like, Like I don't know what I'm supposed to say, like, I'm hungry. Like I don't know. I also was worried because when you go to a place like Gap, they're on you about khakis immediately. I had worked it up in my head that the like employees at the adult toy store were gonna have like used car salesman energy going into the sale. I don't know why. Like I just kept replaying in my head that I was gonna walk in and they were gonna be like, all right, what's it gonna take to get one of these and you today? I'm like, wow. I was worried about checking out, right? They're gonna be like, boop, ball gag, what is this for? It's like, I grind my teeth out. You know, I don't have to explain myself to you. You guys need a self-checkout here, okay? I've been living with my girlfriend for a long time. We did lockdown activities because we lived together during COVID stuff, and it made us stronger as a couple because of what we chose to do. No, we got stronger as a couple because we watched every reality dating show that's ever existed. Every single one. We watched like 90 Day Fiance, Too Hot to Handle, Love on the Spectrum, Married at First Sight, Temptation Island, Love Island UK, Love Island Australia, Love is Blind, Love is Patient, Love is Kind. That doesn't even get into the beast that is also The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, The Bachelor in Paradise, The Bachelor Winter Games, The Bachelor Summer Games, The Bachelor Listen to Your Heart, The Bachelor Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Love it.
But I played sports growing up, so what we would do is we would break down every couple's fight from those shows so we could use their lack of communication in our relationship. I was like Bill Belichick breaking down game footage. Like, I might never get into an argument with my girlfriend about cheese spreads on a mega yacht, but I'm goddamn ready if it ever comes up. So now when we fight, we'll use these reality show couples as like plays to call to better write our communication. Because if you've been dating for someone for a long enough time, you know sometimes you're just talking past each other. We got in an argument that wasn't going anywhere. In the middle of this argument, she goes, pause. I just want you to know you're treating me like a real David season 2 in the Hamptons. I was like, I thought you were being Cynthia season 4 in Bermuda. So now we can move on, you know. And we just celebrated 5 years of dating recently. And what she said when that happened was, just like all those dating shows, they always end in a marriage or proposal. And after 5 years, my girlfriend's been curious of when she's gonna get to the marriage proposal part of our dating show. And I told her it makes me uncomfortable when she brings it up. Cause like, I want to have a wedding one day. Like, I get it, right? You have like a big party, you get drunk with your friends. People give you gifts. I'm almost out of my first communion money. I could use a re-up. But now what she'll do is she'll bring up the benefits of marriage when she can point it out to help me get there. So like the other day I stubbed my toe on our coffee table and her first reaction was like, see, right there. If you had to go to the hospital, I couldn't even visit you there. I was like, guest list. That's how we think we're gonna get into this? Plus ones to things? I was like, nice try, lady. I'll have health insurance. I'm never gonna go to a hospital. But we're watching people get married, sometimes too soon, too early. It's hard to tell. Like my cousin just got married to the person he's been dating since high school. It's his high school first divorce, I agree. Right, like the divorce rate has been lowering and lowering because we, in my generation, we're going out there trying stuff, you know, finding out new things to see who's your person, right? There's all this stuff we're doing. There's like open relationships, polyamory, things we're doing with butts. Like you gotta out there and try stuff. Like I don't even think you should be able to buy an engagement ring until you get HPV. I feel like that's a rule. And I feel bad for all my single friends because they're just like going through all the apps hoping that eventually someone is just gonna fall in their lap to find love. Are you patting him on the shoulder because it's him? Damn, dude. You're gonna find love eventually, I promise. Here tonight. No, I'm just kidding. I feel bad because all of them, like, they want to find a person to move forward with, and there's so many parts to it, right? You have to, like, find love, but then you have to find a good roommate, and both those things are equally important in any of those. So I think what Tinder and Bumble and all these different, like, dating apps should do is they should have, like, an advanced feature where if you put on your profile, like, no hookups, I just want the real thing, and you match with someone else in their profile where it says that, you should get forced to live with that person for 30 days. Like an internship into love with that person, right? So here's what I want to do. I want to start my own business that exclusively does short-term leases for new couples. I'm going to call it, Is It Real Estate, right? But just like these dating shows, we'll have little challenges each week that would simulate a longer version of dating in 1 month. So like week 1, you're getting to know each other. What's the best way to do it? Well, when you get into your new apartment, there's just a gram of cocaine sitting on your coffee table. Yeah, get every idea you've had in your brain out in 24 hours. If you're vegan, we'll put Molly as a substitute. I don't know how it works, okay? You also get to learn another skill, which is learning to backtrack things you said the night before when you were messed up. So that's a good couple skill. Later down the line, week 3's challenge, we take your bathroom door away. Figure out each other's pooping schedule. It's important. You should have a system. My girlfriend and I, when either of us go in there, we play a certain song to alert the other to stay away. It's the Monster Mash. Because it's going to be a splash, right? And then the very last week, you've made it this far, you're going to find out where you could be as a couple one day. The very last week, we're just going to put a baby in your apartment. We're just going to put a kid in your apartment to see if you want to be parents one day. And you guys might be wondering at this point in the joke, where am I going to find all these random children I can put in apartments across the country? Well, I told you earlier, I used to work at a Chicago public school. So I have a lot of clients lined up already. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to start my own separate side business where parents can rent out their children to new couples. And I, of course, am going to call this business Airbnb. And I think that's the greatest idea I've ever had. Guys, my name's Tyler. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys.
I feel my head harder. I'm afraid to let it slaughter. We saw the everybody. I had one hell of a night. I had one hell of a fit. Hey, it's this hell of America. I can see the difference. I've been with hell of a kid. I've been with hell of a friend. I've been with hell of a nah. I'm just a regular man. I see they hell coming in. I see they half a minute. And no, I ain't one of them. I see the light coming in. I gave my life up to sin. I live my life on the limb. I live my life on the rim. I don't get that shit up there. If you speak about it, need to be about it. Either way it go, I put that part on everybody. Damn. This is just the beginning of all the sauce. I ain't think I'm talking about today, I'll say it tomorrow. Is it gonna get worse? Probably. I'm just worried about how it ended, how it all started. Hey, oh hey, oh hey.